GameCast Continuum.
Welcome everybody to GameCast Continuum. Thank you so much for tuning in live here on Beam, watching us on YouTube, or listening on Podbean or iTunes. We are your host, DC Skater Shane,
Mr. Bojangles 1984,
and Drake Dangerson.
Woo!
Woo! Robo tripping.
God.
GameCast Continuum is a gaming podcast where we randomly select some of the greatest titles from past and present and go into their history into detail. But before we get into all of that, we're going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. We do this show live on Sunday nights at beam.pro/GameCastContinuum. The best way to keep up to date with the show is to follow us on Twitter at GCContinuum, because we'll basically tweet out what this week's episode is going to be about and let you know if there's going to be any schedule changes, anything like that. But with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's game, which was Guitar Hero 2.
Congratulations, you are.
You are a guitar hero.
Not quite.
I don't think that's how it goes, but the other one's NC-17, and I don't feel comfortable going that route.
Since when?
At least with my clothes on.
Eh?
Fair enough.
Not that kind of a podcast.
Son of
Not yet.
But we are on Skype, so I could make some money. Anyways, moving on.
Buyfreecams.com/Drake Dangerson.
There we go. I could be on there with Sunny.
What are we promoting? Oh my god. So, good old Guitar Hero number dos. Numero doso?
The second one.
Yes, the
And
second one.
That's what it's called in Spanish.
Guitar.
The second one.
El Mariachi Hero.
Oh my god. But yeah. So it kind of basic in its operation. It's a rhythm game, but you had 3 different modes to choose from. You could go through the career mode, you could do multiplayer, or there was just a practice mode, so you can practice on some songs that were giving you a hard time. In the career mode, you actually created a band name and picked a guitarist, and you played through a variety of different venues. It got harder as you progressed further, which kind of makes sense. A few things about the career mode: you only had access to the lead guitar portions of the song. You had to unlock the next tier by completing songs in the previous tier, which is kind of basic game design. There were encore songs that you could only play if you had completed every song before that in that tier. And if you were playing on easy mode, there were no encore songs at all available to you.
See, I didn't remember, although I started, I think, on normal, possibly.
I would like to say I was a career easy. So
The 3 buttons.
that's me. I'm like a sloth. I can only play with 3 fingers.
But you have 4 on this hand.
No. See?
Yeah, I preferred the normal mode myself, with just the 4.
I mean, I went through and ended up playing on hard and expert for a lot of things, but that's not here nor there.
Too much work. But
Fun began. Shit.
yeah, I mean, it definitely added a different level of challenge there. So
It's typically what my girlfriend played on too, was like the hardest difficulties, kind of lapping me in the whole difficulty, and then I would try to play her in a first-person shooter and destroy her just to make my ego feel a little better.
Just to feel a little bit better about yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
that's the way to go.
Crushing spirits.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on the game through the game modes here. With the multiplayer, there are actually 3 different modes you could choose in the multiplayer portion of the game. You could either play co-op, where one player would be like the lead guitarist, and the other person would choose from either the rhythm or bass section of the song. Then there was the face-off mode, where you would play head-to-head with somebody, but you could each choose your own difficulty that you would want to play on. And of course, if you're playing on easy, each note you hit wouldn't count for as many points as if you're playing on expert mode or whatever. Like, they balanced it out, so one person didn't have the advantage over the other person. And then there was Pro Face Off, which you go head to head with somebody, but you both had to play on the same difficulty level. And you both played the lead guitar portion of it.
I was kind of hoping on the Pro Face Off that you would swap bodies with Nicolas Cage or John Travolta and play them. Yeah. But...
Yeah.
I like though that they actually they took the time to put in like the actual co-op mode though too.
Yeah.
Because normal expected in most games all they really do anymore especially is like you're head to head or competitive whatever it is, and the regular co-op was just a nice more of a party type version where you could actually just play with friends and enjoy. Granted, then if you had that one asshole who always wanted to play lead guitar, there was that. But
yeah,
his name was DC Skater Shane.
I gotta say, I didn't really play lead that often, so
Thank you.
DC got stuck with the rhythm section.
And actually, I had fun with bass. Some of the songs.
Yeah, I did enjoy the bass also.
Slapping the bass, man.
Because like, there's a lot of the songs that like, especially like during the like career, like when you're playing single player, you don't really hear much of the, as far as like the other guitars are concerned, you don't really hear much of the other music. It focuses so much on the lead guitar. Basically, you never really hear and how some of the bass lines are. And there was a few of the songs that the bass parts royally sucked.
Primus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every time.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I mean, it is really cool. You could do the co-op thing there. And then, of course, classic head-to-head. And then, the last mode, which was mentioned, was the practice mode. And in there, you could choose a song. You could actually change how fast the notes would come down the screen. So you could, take your time and practice certain sections of songs that were giving you a hard time. Mainly, long, drawn-out guitar solos. But
good way to learn.
Yeah.
Especially... really on like the harder, as you got further down in the game, you unlocked a lot of the songs that had ridiculous
really
guitar
sucked.
Yeah, and it was nice, and when they're scrolling down the screen so fast, normally half the time you're not following that shit, and then if you actually slow it down, you can almost it helps you almost memorize the keys and crap like that.
Yeah, it's very helpful indeed.
But yeah, I mean, with this game, your main... I mean, there was no... I mean, let's be real. There was no story other than you're playing as one of the 8 characters. You're on the road trying to achieve superstardom. But while you were doing that, they actually play... they took you to a whole bunch of different venues and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of neat that they had a decent progression system, and it kind of fit. You started off in a high school, in a Midwest high school at a Battle of the Bands, and during that, the songs that they gave you were a lot easier, and it kind of was fitting. And then as you progressed through the game, you got to huge arenas and so forth, and the songs got a lot harder, and it was kind of neat. But like right in the beginning, when you were playing in the Battle of the Bands, your playlists were about the same, as far as, because since it came out first on PS4 or PS2 and then Xbox 360 a couple months later, the Xbox got a couple extra songs, and so the playlists were slightly different and how they were arranged just to accommodate some of the newer stuff. But in the Midwest though, you played Shout at the Devil, you had Mother, Surrender, Woman, Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You, and then which was the encore, And then on the Xbox, you had Surrender, you had Possum Kingdom, Heart Shaped Box, Salvation, Strutter, and then the encore ended up being Shout at the Devil. So I mean, you had a little bit of variety between the two consoles, but as you moved forward, you started playing at the Rat Cellar Pub, which was in Boston. And it was actually, I guess, a play on the Rathskeller, which was it's an infamous Boston venue that I guess was shut down after some health violations. I don't know if anybody can
Rat Cellar is pretty fitting for that.
Add more on to what kind of health violations they had, but
no, we can always just really make them up. I mean,
well,
yeah. Dried tampons in the water dispensers and probably poop in the ice machine.
You mean that's not normal?
Well,
not usually.
It'll make you stronger.
Oh my God.
If you survive.
Well, it's all about survival.
That's right.
If you survive, please come again.
But when you're playing on the PlayStation, you played Strutter, Heart Shaped Box, Message in a Bottle, You Really Got Me, and then Carry On Wayward Son was your encore. So I mean, it pulled in a couple of the songs that were actually in the first set on the Xbox version. And then if you're playing on Xbox, you got Mother, Life Wasted, Cherry Pie, Woman, You Really Got Me, and then Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You is the encore. A little bit different, but that's what you get for getting an additional. I think it's like 24 or some ridiculous amount of songs. Moving forward,
but I mean, couldn't they have made it so that the playlists were the same at each venue, and then have the extra songs on Xbox be like just songs you can buy in the shop?
I mean, you could have, but I think they were I don't really know why they did it. Just to add some variety, and also maybe just,
I guess,
if somebody had both consoles, it kind of gave, or already played it on one, it gave you a little something different to play on the second one.
I guess.
Moving on this excellent rockin' road trip, we head to the Blackout Bar, which was in Rhode Island. And as the name suggests, when the whole bar goes black when the lights go down.
Watch them hands.
It's a freaking Grove Fest.
Handsy.
Oh, baby. Don't touch me there unless you mean it.
Too late.
Or unless you have $5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This
I'll settle for $2.50, but $5 is cool.
Yeah. I got standards.
While you're playing there, you ended up playing Monkey Wrench, Them Bones, Search and Destroy, Drake's favorite, Tattooed Love Boys.
Hey, I wrote that song.
And then your encore was the War Pigs.
Oink, oink.
And then on Xbox, you had Carry On Wayward Son, Search and Destroy, Message in a Bottle, $1 Billion Babies, Them Bones, and War Pigs was actually the encore on that one as well.
Yeah, some of them had the same encore songs.
Moving forward, you're hitting the Red Octane Club, moving on up in the world, which obviously referenced, the game creator, because there was their logo slapped everywhere. Easy way for self-promotion.
Yeah, well, that and the guitars.
Well.
Yeah.
While you were there, you played Cherry Pie. You wondered who was in my room last night. Girlfriend, Can't You Hear Me Knocking? And the encore was Sweet Child of Mine, which was one of the most fun songs to play in that game. And here, I mean, your Xbox One was very similar with Monkey Wrench, Hush, Girlfriend. Drake was in my room last night. Can't You Hear Me Knocking? And you finished it up with Sweet Child of Mine. Moving forward.
Moving up the ladder on the docket.
Moving up the ladder, we're taking a trip to Detroit.
Got that dirty D.
Oh, yeah.
Places get shut down for that, but...
Yeah, well.
We hit the Rock City Theater in Detroit, and you play. And this is where, especially, we're coming into the final stretch, is where the songs really started to get to be a giant bitch to play.
Yeah.
You had Killing in the Name, John the Fisherman, Freya, Bad Reputation, and Last Child was your encore. And then on the Xbox, you played the Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Your Tattooed Love Voice popped up again.
Yes.
John the Fisherman, Jessica, Bad Reputation, and Last Child was encore again.
Yes, indeed.
Now we're starting to play festivals. You end up hitting the Vans Warp Tour in Texas.
Yeah, you're the one band that plays fucking this kind of music on there, even though it's a punk thing. Like, hold on, everybody, we're gonna play a little Crazy on You.
Mhm.
Get the fuck off stage.
That's when you got shit thrown at you, but
Yeah.
Literal shit.
Literal shit. But yeah, you played Crazy on You, Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart, Rock This Town, Jessica, and your encore was Stop. Yeah, doesn't really fit the venue, but
No.
fuck it.
Not even close.
The encore of my prom night was also called Stop.
Mm-hmm.
I always appreciate this point in the podcast where I throw DC Skater Shane way off his thought process. I wish we had Sir David Attenborough to monologue this part. Right now, you see the wild DC skater trying to figure out what is next on the list.
Well, I mean, on the Xbox, you had Crazy on You, Tripping a Hole in a Paper Heart, Dead, Killing in the Name, right? And your prom song came up again.
Oh.
Yes.
We're going to a big arena show, though, down in Oakland, which is based in the Oracle Arena. But in-game, it was the Harmonix Arena. Shocker.
Yeah, I probably couldn't get that licensing thingy.
Yes.
You played Madhouse, Carry Me Home, Laid to Rest, The Psychobilly Freakout, and YYZ was your encore. That song was actually a lot of fun, too.
It's really long.
It's fucking ridiculously long. But it was fun.
Yeah, it's like reading The Stand.
And it's one of those things, too, is when you start getting into the longer songs, that you think you're done, it starts to fade out, and then it just picks right the fuck back up. And
then you're there for 5 more minutes.
Then you're there for another 5 minutes. But, Xbox got to play Madhouse, The Trooper, Rock This Town, Laid to Rest, Psychobilly Freakout, and they finished up the encore with YYZ as well. So, it looks like on a lot of the rest of these, a lot of the encores stayed the same.
Yeah.
I think all the encores stayed the same. But last but not least, to end apparently you started to go worldwide. You played in Stonehenge, which of all places they would have thrown you worldwide. Why the fuck not?
Yeah, sure. Awesome stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you played Beast and the Harlot, Institutionalized, Miserlou, Hangar 18, and speaking of long songs, your encore was Freebird. It didn't end.
It doesn't end.
It just doesn't end.
There's a version of you still playing the song right now in another dimension.
Especially
Wait, my name's not Barry Allen.
I'm a Wally West guy. I'm sorry.
I started that was one of the songs that I looked into the practice thing on it, and if you just start reading through, it's like solo 1, solo 2, solo 3, solo 4, and it just keeps fucking going. And actually, on Xbox you still had Beast and the Harlot, Carried Me Home, Institutionalized, Miserlou, Hangar 18, and you got to finish up with Freebird once again.
Yep.
That's all your locations. You go from shitty high school gym up to fucking Stonehenge.
That's
World
right.
traveler.
Hell
Just like
yeah.
the Street Fighter.
All different
I'm
kinds of
done.
stages you go through in that game.
I'll take it from here, DC. You can you can take a break.
I'll gather my thoughts. Give me a minute.
So this game had 8 characters. They went through all different genres of rock music. You started out, or you didn't start out with, but the most recognizable character is usually Axel Steele. He's a dude, basically, that does heavy metal and hard rock. So he has the hair. He kind of looks like buffed up Jack Black.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
You have Cassie Lynch. She represents the hard rock genre. She was in the original Guitar Hero, or actually no, she appeared in this one. You have Clive Winston, who's represents like the classic '70s rock, so he has like the bell bottoms and shit.
And the mullet.
He did have the mullet. That's right.
He rocked the fuck out of that mullet.
Well, I will be too one day.
If you've got it, flaunt it.
I got it. Soon. It's coming, and I'm gonna get some Stonewashed jeans and a nice fanny pack.
You need a rat tail.
Oh, dude, done. Little Sting early '90s. Get a nice blonde flat top. All right, we're going off track.
Forgot the face paint, but you know.
Another character you could play as was Death.
My God.
He the Reaper. Which is weird because they have Death on the game, but they don't Fear the Reaper. It's like, why even bring him in? Just saying.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, huh?
It's very strange. I don't think I like it. Eddie Knox. I didn't. Not a lot. Eddie Knox first appears in this game. He represents the rock and roll genre. We got Izzy Sparks, a carryover from Guitar Hero 1. He represents the glam rock / glam metal genre. There's like a mixture of David Bowie and like those guys from Motley Crue. Yeah. We're talking like Ziggy Stardust type of David Bowie, not the thin white man. Got Johnny Napalm. He's the punk guy. Not CM, just a punk rocker. Got a mohawk.
Phil Brooks.
No, not Philippa Brooks.
No Pepsi tattoo.
No Pepsi, no Cobra. We got Judy Nails. She represents the alternative rock and alternative metal genres in Guitar Hero and Guitar Hero 2. They changed her to like a goth punk look, and I know we're not talking about Guitar Hero 3, but I might as well bring it up now. They changed her look in Guitar Hero 3, and it wasn't really received well by fans because they felt like kind of defeated whatever weird origin they had for her in their minds. Yeah, this is my motherfucker right here. Little Lars Umlaut. Weird side note, I always wanted to come up with like a death metal German band, and its name was going to be called Doomlaut. But yeah, I don't know how to play any instruments, and I sing like shit. So yeah. So Lars Umlaut is a playable Guitar Hero character that first appeared in this game. He represents various heavy metal subgenres such as black death metal and black metal. Another guy whose appearance changed in World Tour. He was like muscular in the second one, but for World Tour they made him slimmer. So maybe he just got depressed and got a crippling heroin addiction.
Hey, it happens, man.
Hey,
You're
man.
in the rock and roll industry.
That's right. It'll eat you up and spit you out and then ask for seconds. We got Pandora, the playable character.
Don't play with her box.
Ooh.
Too late.
Yikes. She was in the first Guitar Hero, and she's a gothic rocker. And then we have Xavier Stone, or Xavier, however you say it.
SRX.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He represents like the blues rock, classic rock genres. He looks kind of like a Jimi Hendrix type of character. Is who I was attributed it to. Yeah.
Nice.
And those are the characters of the game. So these guys you progress with.
Yeah,
I think.
boy.
I thought it was neat though that they actually did kind of represent all the all the different forms of music with their characters, as opposed to just giving just general rocker looking people.
Yeah, having all a bunch of Axel Steels.
Unfortunately,
yeah, they didn't have a Cat Stevens character or any guys from the Grateful Dead, so this game's fucking bullshit.
Did they? Because I remember in some of the later Guitar Heroes too. I mean, I know they continued on with some of the characters, but did they still keep up with that, like, fitting every genre type deal, like when they introduced new people, or was it kind of just starting to...
I played World Tour, and it was basically like I was saying in the above, that some of the characters, they had like look changes and everything, but the general consensus was they all pretty much stayed the same. I think, and I always got it confused. I always thought Axel Steel was in that Brutal Legends game, and then I did some reading. It wasn't him, but they look like exactly fucking same.
Yeah.
That's where I came up. That's why I started thinking of like Jack Black whenever I saw this character. I was like, oh, he looks like the dude from Brutal Legend. And I guess they were far enough apart that they were different characters. I don't know. They looked exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at the Guitar Hero characters in a long ass time, but I still can remember their faces look goddamn identical.
Yeah. All right, so we're at the development portion here. This game was developed by Harmonix. They're known for Guitar Hero, now Rock Band. They didn't change Guitar Hero into Rock Band. No, we'll get to that later, but they went from doing Guitar Hero to making Rock Band eventually. Amplitude, Parappa the Rappa, which was a pretty awesome game in and of its time. Another game rhythm games for me just don't work. Try Seeing Me on DDR. I look like a drunk person trying to dance on a dance floor after having an erection for 7 hours. It's not good.
I want to see that. Shit.
Yeah,
sign me up.
That sounds like it's entertaining as hell.
No blood left in my body except my nether regions. It was published by Activision. It's a small company. It's known for Call of Duty games. It's some douchebag game called Destiny.
Destiny.
It's dead. Dead game. Distributed by Red Octane. They did distribution for Guitar Hero 2. It's a little offshoot, Legends of Rock, and a few other Guitar Hero games. Directed by Daniel Sussman and designed by Chris Canfield. For a second, I read it as Chris Redfield, so I just pictured this guy designing video games while also like killing zombies with steroids. Release info. It's came out in November of 2006. Yeah, no, it's 10 years old. Happy fucking birthday. On the PS2, and then April 3rd the following year on the 360. They were probably just I would assume that was around when the 360 was dropping, so they like kind of waited for it. Instead of releasing it on a dead system like the original Xbox. The PS2 version came with cherry red Gibson control with the little guitar controller. When the Xbox came out with a Gibson Explorer controller. That was cool.
Yeah.
I like the PS2 one better, personally.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the most memorable one, really. That's like the one you see like fucking garage sales all the time. Like
the red one. Yep.
Yeah, you always see the red one. You never see like the Xbox one, because people usually just like tore it up or just didn't like it as a controller, and would just use like just a regular ass one.
I mean, I ended up having I had the PlayStation version initially, and then I got one of the later Guitar Heroes on Xbox when I had that, and the Explorer just was not nearly as comfortable because of the weird. Did
it sit on your thigh in a weird way? Is that why it wasn't comfortable?
Just the shape of it. The ass. But no, just like the shape of the thing, because yeah, fuck off. It was just weird. Pointy. Not a goddamn word.
Yeah, just oddly shaped. Caught you in the balls every once in a while.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. Oh, wow, that's even worse.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Guitar Hero though, so of course there's a lot of audio things that go along with this game. The music, I don't know if you guys are keeping count, but in the set lists in the game, there were 40 songs in the main career mode in the PS2 version. Xbox 360 had 48. There were bonus songs in each version, which were unlocked with the in-game money that you would get after completing songs. And those totals, after purchasing all of them, there were 64 on PS2 and 74 on the 360 version. But also, not only did a 360 version have more songs than the PS2 out the box, but they also got 24 additional songs that were made available via DLC.
Well,
so they ended up with 98 songs altogether.
On that though, too, like I don't really remember like on the PS2 DLC and stuff really being much of a thing either.
No,
Like,
it wasn't.
The PS2
You'd have to
didn't
buy,
have a
like,
built-in
separate
modem.
discs.
There was no built-in modem on the PS2. You had to buy an external one. You had to buy the hard drive to put into it.
Yeah.
There was a lot you had to do just to get that thing online, let alone...
Final Fantasy 11, anybody?
Yeah, I bought Final Fantasy 11. I bought the freaking network adapter, but I didn't know you needed the hard drive also. And I didn't have the money to buy it, so I had to return both Final Fantasy 11 and the fucking network adapter thing.
Well, I would have went out and just bought a bottle of whiskey afterwards because I'd have been depressed.
Yeah, it sucked. It sucked.
Yeah.
Just on a brief little side note, as far as those downloadable songs, as of March 31st, 2014, they are no longer available on the Microsoft Marketplace.
Big surprise, assholes.
You know what though? That's a pretty goddamn long time though. I mean, for
Considering the
especially
game came out as long ago as it did, yeah.
and then also you got to figure. I mean, I would assume a lot of it had to do with licensing and shit like that. I mean, granted, a lot of the songs were.
For like 7.5 years it was available. April 2007 to March 31st, 2014. So
almost 7 years.
About almost 7 years, not 7.5. Yeah, it's pretty decent. They kept them out there for that long. Most of the songs in the game, unfortunately, are covers of the originals performed by a group called the Wave Group Sound. But there are some master recordings in there as well. And in the practice and co-op modes, each song has a lead guitar, bass, and rhythm guitar tracks that you can choose and practice on. In case you're in a position of DC and you just keep getting stuck with the bass portion because your friend wants to play lead all the time, you can practice your songs as well.
Bass was fun.
Yeah, that bass was fine for me too. I'm just saying, you could choose to practice whichever portion of the song you wanted to. Okay. I wasn't trying to say anything negative about it.
Oof. This is getting uncomfortable, guys.
Would you sit on your nut?
I wish. I would say way more pleasure is going on over here.
Oh my god. But yeah, most were covers, but there were 4 master recordings in the game, being Stop by Jane's Addiction, Possum Kingdom by the Toadies, John the Fisherman by Primus, and Dead by My Chemical Romance. So at least had those 4 songs as the originals.
Yeah. The problem with those though is like when you would you wouldn't really notice that the other songs were covers until like you heard like one of these songs and then or like heard this song after one of them and you'd be like, well, yeah, the other ones kind of did sound like a cover all of a sudden. Is you put these ones behind it, you put the real band and everything behind it, and it's just like, ah, shit.
I don't know.
The thing was though, they were. I mean, as you said, other than the
audio
having the originals behind it, but like the covers themselves were good though.
Oh no, they were
they were decent.
They were,
that's for sure.
I mean, there were some that were better than the others that you could definitely notice that it was a cover, But for the most,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the covers got better from was it Guitar Hero 1? Because they were like obvious covers. And,
those were bad.
Yeah, I remember playing Mississippi Queen and like the singer of it does not sound like anything like the actual like original song, so it's kind of like oof.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, going forward, from this one to any of the future ones. I mean, I don't know if they still did a lot of covers or if they started getting rights to more master tracks to use. I mean, I didn't really look into it, but
I know with World Tour, at least like one of the more memorable songs I remember singing, because you could sing on that one, was I think it was "Beat It" by Michael Jackson, and I'm pretty sure that was the actual song.
I mean, I would assume though too, like as the further iterations started coming out, and it started gaining a lot more popularity too. It was a lot easier to, approach a lot of these larger artists and be like, "Hey, let us use your shit. Let us use your shit."
Yeah, we have this game that's been doing really, really well. It would be helpful to you also if we were to use your songs.
Yeah, it's you get the publicity out there, you get some promotion for whatever you do.
Yeah. And you can get, people might actually, especially of songs that you don't, you might not have heard or you might not have known, or, an artist you don't know, you hear a song and, you play it enough times too, it starts to grow on you.
I'd like to see the rep that went to he's like, "Oh, hey, you guys haven't been known. When people get done with this game, they will be talking about the Rolling Stones."
That must have been hell. But Harmonix, they did good as far as putting things in the game for people to find on their own. Those little things called Easter eggs. There's a bunch of them in Guitar Hero 2 compared to the first one, and even in Guitar Hero 3 from what I looked at. A few that I found were kind of cool for my own personal reasons. On the loading screen, you can see a cherry that's next to a pie symbol, which, of course, is paying reference to the Cherry Pie song, which you play in the game, which I thought was pretty clever.
This one's my favorite.
Yeah, one of the venues you play in, Nilbog High, is Nilbog is goblin spelled backward, and that's a reference to the movie Troll 2.
Oh my God, they're eating her, and now they're going to eat me too.
See, I don't remember any of these fucking. I have Easter eggs from this game, to be quite honest.
No, I mean some of them. Yeah, not really. But anyway, one of the loading messages reads, "Remember, no stairway."
I do remember that one, though.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I can't say of course to the youngins that may be watching or listening, but that's a reference to a movie called Wayne's World. Okay.
Go out and watch it.
Yes, you should. It's a great movie. Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. Excellent. But yeah, then it's also a reference to the fact that Led Zeppelin forbid any of their songs to ever be in a Guitar Hero game. So they can't get their songs, so they're going to make reference to one of them.
I know in one of the games, I think, wasn't there Led Zeppelin in one of them?
There could have been after this.
Yeah, like Rock Band, I know had a Led Zeppelin.
I think it was, I was trying to think if it was Guitar Hero or Rock Band. I remember one of them had it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one's pretty easy to put together if you know anything about the band Kiss, but the Rock City Theater, it's in Detroit. Kiss has a song called Detroit Rock City.
Never heard of it.
Movie.
And there's a movie also. Yeah. This one I thought was kind of funny. In the 360 version of the game, in the credits, it actually reads, "No pitchers were harmed when making this game, except for one. Joel Zamaya, he had it coming." And when I first read that, I was like, what the hell is that even talking about? But I guess that's referring to Joel Zamaya being absent from the 2006 ALCS due to him having a sore wrist because he was playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah, he was a relief pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. He would throw in upwards of 101 miles an hour. So I'm sure the stress from doing that and playing Guitar Hero wasn't working to his advantage.
No, yeah, probably not. Another neat thing about the Nilbog High, on the walls you could see scrolling lyrics, and that's from Alice Cooper's song "School's Out." Pretty fitting. You're playing in a high school. One of the players you can choose, Clive Winston. When you use star power, he uses a violin bow to play his guitar. And there's been a few guitarists who have done that, but most famously would be Jimmy Page, who would do that from time to time at his shows. And then you had Xavier Stone. When you use star power with him, he would pluck his guitar with his teeth, paying homage to the good old Jimi Hendrix. And there were more. But those are the ones that I enjoyed.
Those are the bigger ones that stood out. And
yeah. I mean, there were probably like 10 more of them I could have put in here, but our rundown was already pretty lengthy, so.
Yeah.
True.
But moving on to the behind the scenes, I don't know. I've been jibber jabbing for a while here. Who wants to pick that up?
Jabberjaws. Let me do it, Jabberjaws. I got it.
You got it? Take it away.
There was a like a nice little tidbit here. When I was doing research, I noticed like Harmonix made this game originally. I didn't really know that. I was like, well, didn't Harmonix make Rock Band? And yeah, they made both games. They started out with this one, and then Red Octane. They had a partnership with Red Octane, and what happened was Red Octane was kind of sounds like they did a little underhanded things and to stay with Activision. So they basically said, "Hey, Activision, we got the source code." And Harmonix kind of like shrugged their shoulders because they went on to make Rock Band with MTV Studios. Obviously, if you played any Rock Bands after this one, you noticed that there wasn't really much in the way of any upward motion, like development wise. It just felt like they used the same code over again and just put more songs onto it. Said, oh, hey, now we have drums and we have a mic.
Well, they also put out the turntable one too.
No, don't shh. Don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Yeah, but like Rock Band came out. I think that came out right before World Tour, or they came out near the same exact time. But I remember the Rock Band bundle coming out with like drums. You had the microphone, and you had all these songs that actually sounded like the songs. So it seems like when Harmonix took took their own ball and went somewhere else, it sounds like this is what the improvements were going to be for the next Guitar Hero. But they said, "Fuck it, if you guys are going to fuck us in the ass, we're going to make you pay for it."
Oh, good for them then.
Yeah, I mean,
It was about a year in between it. Actually, I just looked that up. As far as between Rock Band and
World
Guitar
Tour.
Hero World Tour, it was about a year in between.
Okay.
November, because it came out in November of 2007 on the
Rock Band, right?
Yeah. Rock Band, November of 2007, and actually October of 2008, Guitar Hero World Tour came out.
Yeah, it sounds like they might have been scrambling for a World Tour, considering what Rock Band was actually bringing to the table. So, yeah.
I mean,
serves them right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Rock Band also did a lot as far as like the Rock Band sort of innovated their guitars a little bit better, and
I noticed with those guitars, they reacted a lot quicker. It seemed like the actual functionality with it, like you can calibrate them.
The only thing that I didn't like on the Rock Band guitars, the little strummer bar felt a little.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying. Yeah, and some of them would get extremely loose, and it'd be bad news.
But yeah, I mean that's what started with the whole. The Rock Band guitars were the first ones with the little like solo buttons too, and then I think it was for Guitar Hero World Tour was when Guitar Hero put that weird little like touchpad thing.
Oh god.
That was weird. I mean, I didn't really like either of the solo buttons, to be quite honest. Like the Rock Band ones felt almost too tiny.
Yeah, I didn't really play them that much. I have an angel-like voice. I can't deprive my fans.
Can't not belt out those tunes, huh?
That's right.
Oy Vey.
Hey DC, did you
What?
play this game?
I played the hell out of the game actually, amongst all the other ones. But like, I mean, I remember playing, taking a lot of time just to try to get through some of the harder songs through expert, and when you finally beat some of the higher up songs, it felt good. Um, and like, especially because a lot of the songs, playing through most of the parts weren't too bad, especially the harder up songs. Once you got to like the solos where it just was a ridiculous amount of notes just flying across the screen, miserable, fucking miserable times. But like for me, I mean, the songs that really stuck out, part just because of they were fun to play, but also because they were classic songs. I mean, I had liked Beast and the Harlot from Avenged Sevenfold, Carry On Wayward Sons, kind of a classic. Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Message in a Bottle was always just fun to play, just because I remember like the note pattern was just always kind of, it was different. I mean, there was a nice little rhythm to it, especially, because some songs, like when you're playing like the lead guitar, they go a little erratic at times, whereas Message in the Bottle kind of had a very simple feel to it. And once you got in the rhythm, it went pretty well. And then, Sweet Child of Mine's always a classic to play.
Yeah.
And it was just, I like just hearing the songs too. That was always kind of my other favorite part of it. Even if you're watching somebody else play, like if you're playing through, like, because I remember a lot of times too, like me and like buddies would play through the story or whatever it was, and switch off after each song or whatever it was, and it was just neat, like just being able just to sit back and listen to a lot of the classic songs, and picked up new songs that you might have forgot about. But I don't know about you guys.
I do enjoy that aspect of the game too. Just being able to hear the songs, because that's what I listen to mainly is
Hip hop.
Bluegrass.
bluegrass, the hippity hops. No, I mean I prefer the rock and roll.
Church music.
The
Church music,
soundtrack
not
to
so
Mafia
much.
2.
1940s music.
Yes, you got me, Drake. You dialed me
I
in.
knew it.
But myself personally, yes, I have played this game quite a bit. I do get the Guitar Hero games mixed up. It's hard for me to keep track of which songs were in which game.
Well,
When I'm trying to discuss which ones were my favorite from any particular one in the series,
I mean,
But
when you start getting song lists, because especially as the other ones started going, they started getting ridiculous with the amount of songs that they're putting in games.
Yeah, I
Plus,
have Rock Band 4, and I think the base game, like I think it's around 40 songs, but now you can download just about any song under the moon.
well, that was yeah.
So it's like,
I remember,
shit.
I think when they started doing a lot of the DLCs, they did initially they did just song packs of like you got like 3 or 4 songs for whatever it was. But then I know Rock Band I think started doing where you could just start buying individual.
Yep.
Which was kind of nice. I mean, granted, you ended up paying a little more than buying the bundles, but if there were some songs you didn't like, pick and choose.
It's like $1 more than buying like songs on iTunes, so I think it's a pretty decent price.
yeah, especially if you're going to be able to play it in the game.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
And you can sing it with your angelic voice.
Ooh.
Yes, and he can sing with his angelic voice. Now I'm sure you, DC, and Drake, you guys both use the guitar playing the game, whereas myself personally, I preferred using the controller. Just helped out my performance with that.
I knew those people.
Yeah, those people.
What do you mean by those people?
I would just like, because when I was in the military, they had like MWR, which is morale, welfare, and something else, recreation. But they'd have like a little game station set up so people could like basically check out like a system, and like I'd see people like I'd walk past them and they'd be like on with the controller playing like Rock Band or like Guitar Hero, and I was like, huh, I never thought of doing it that way.
I tried it. It's weird. I don't like it.
It's mostly the shoulder buttons that you use.
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse me. And then you use it's the thumbstick instead of the whammy bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh.
But anyway.
But you don't get the but without having the
ahead.
guitar, you don't get the fun motion of swinging it upwards to activate your star power.
I fucking hate trying to do that because
That's fine.
I end up like doing this like 5 times and like, why isn't my fucking star power
Well,
going?
yeah, then you have that part too where it doesn't activate and you're swinging it around like an asshole trying to get it.
Yeah,
I mean,
trying to
I
activate
started
the star
toward-
power, then you miss like 5 notes.
I mean, I started towards the end just using my fucking pinky and just hitting because you could hit like the select button or whatever to do it too on the guitar. So I started just reaching and just tapping that to start it.
Whatever works best for you, I guess. But I'm a huge Kiss fan. I mean, it's been ingrained in me since I've been a kid. You know, my father, it's his favorite band. So, of course, one of my favorite songs was Strutter. I also enjoyed Shout at the Devil, Motley Crue, War Pigs, and Mother by
That
Danzig.
was fun.
Mother.
I don't know why, but there's something about that song I really enjoy. But, yeah. No, Drake, sounds like you have a lot of experience with this game yourself.
No, not at all. I used to just like would catch like pickup games at like a friend's house or something like that if we were at a party. Yeah, pretty much. It's like, hey, you want to play guitar? Yeah, sure. And then after 2 songs, I realized that I suck, and I give it, no, maybe you should play this, and I'll play bass on easy over here. But my girlfriend, she was a huge fan of the whole series. Like we're talking like 4 a.m. Nights where her cousin and her sister would stay up trying to unlock all the songs and defeat all the modes. I know on this one, she said she fucking hated Stonehenge because every time they'd get an encore, she'd have to do Freebird, which is probably her least favorite song now because of how long it takes. A few of my favorites were Possum Kingdom by Toadies and Woman by Wolf Mother because they were like the easier songs to play. A few of my girlfriend's favorites though, she loved playing Last Child. I remember actually seeing that song, and it moves like in a nice, awesome motion. Jessica by the Allman Brothers, I'm assuming because that's her name, and Sweet Child O' Mine by Guns N' Roses. So I guess her and DC have some musical tastes that are the same. Fucking looking at my buddy.
Good old times. The GCC crew.
That's great.
How well received was this game, DC?
Oh, it got rated really high across the board. Like the PS2 actually got in the official US PlayStation magazine, they got a 10 out of 10. But even throughout, like with Metacritic and other review sites, it got rated really high for both versions, which is kind of not surprising. But a lot of times when games come out multi-platform nowadays, the reviews do differ. Not a ton, but you might see a decent point difference between the two. But like for IGN, it gave it had a 9.5 for the on the PS2 and a 9.6 on Xbox. So I mean, you're basically identical. And then for Metacritic, again, it had a 92 on PS2 and a 93 on Xbox. Which is,
I wonder if the Xbox version got rated a little bit higher just because it had more songs to choose from.
More songs, probably a little bit better performance.
Graphic
too.
fidelity, yeah, it was probably a little bit better. Yeah.
Because I mean, you're looking at, at that time, you kind of had, in a way, last gen versus like the current gen at the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I could see that. But I mean, aside from being so critically acclaimed, it actually got a couple different awards. Like at E3 in 2006, it got the Game Critic Award for Best puzzle trivia parlor game. And then also same year, IGN's awards, it actually got best music game across the board, the best PS2 music game, best licensed soundtrack, best PS2 licensed soundtrack, and then the best PS2 offline multiplayer game. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, makes sense though, because
Yeah.
just being a party game, I mean, you are going to get...
Apparently no fucking love from Xbox though, assholes.
Nope, not a lot
Nope.
on Xbox.
Well, it didn't
and
come out
then-
until
Oh yeah,
2007.
it didn't come out till the next year. Wonder what
And
they
then
did.
at the at the ever popular Spike TV Video Game Awards,
The official awards.
well,
Yeah.
it actually it took home best soundtrack as well, which, I mean, in a way, I mean, it's kind of hard to beat just because of all the classic songs that are on there. What other than looking at like games with like original sound, you're looking at games with original soundtracks per se versus a whole slew of songs, and I think having the ability to play them kind of helps in that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But
Spike TV Video Game Awards, is that the one where Kojima got stood up, or Kojima got told he couldn't attend?
was it the
Wasn't that the one?
It might be. I don't know if it was like the same Spike ones, or could have been like the same ones, but like they have a different name now. But
Yeah, I think it was because it was the next year Kojima was there, and the whole fuck Konami thing, and
that's my banner. So
can't wait for Death Stranding. That game looks sick and fucking twisted.
yeah. I can't wait for Naked Norm Reedus.
Yes, that's my favorite part of the whole trailer, is seeing his
the Norman
bum.
Reedus ass.
Yes,
Nope.
seeing his
Give me
bare
some of
bum.
that. Well, this game sold rather well. In December 2006 on PS2, it was the second best-selling game of the month, selling 805,200 units. 805,200 units. The only game that outsold it was Gears of War on the Xbox 360, which was 815,700 units. It was
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
ton.
especially too because at that time I think it was strictly just the full bundle, wasn't it? Like they didn't do, because I mean
Yeah,
now
it was
you
the
can
guitar in the game, yeah.
which
Mhm.
wasn't cheap. I mean,
No.
it wasn't one of those. It's not just your typical game that you can go out and just I'll spend a little bit of money. I think there was $100 or $120, something like that,
I think
or
it was,
just the
I think it was $100.
that's some
Oh
pressure.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, they were just fucking rolling in the dough. Like, I'm pretty sure they built the Scrooge McDuck Tower and started swimming in money right after this game came out.
Who would?
I don't know. Scrooge McDuck probably won because he got lead poisoning. It was also the 5th best-selling video game of the fiscal year of 2006, with 1.3 million copies being sold. And the 3rd best game on PS2 behind Madden 07 and, hey, we reviewed this game, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Hey.
During 2006.
world.
I know. We finally linked to a game that we reviewed. During 2006, the total sales were around $200 million. Interesting little tidbit of information. In September of 2007, Activision reported that with over 650,000 downloads, the music packs for this game qualified as multi-platinum under the RIAA's definitions, which is fucking nuts. That is crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So, like, yeah, I would assume that the artists were actually really happy about this, as opposed to like things like Spotify, where they constantly bitch about. But this one, they were actually it sounds like they were making a decent amount of money, all around for this.
Yeah.
And Activision is Activision, so they're pretty. I think they're pretty set money wise, considering what they're backing and everything. So this sounds like a win for them.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they ran into some. I mean, you can't have a game obviously nowadays and just in general without problems. But like,
Yeah.
This had it had some issues. I don't really remember any of them, but I guess at times it was, people had issues with it freezing, or the audio getting desynchronized, and
That
game
could
could
throw you out of
crash.
the whole song.
Well, especially if the game crashes, it's throwing you out of everything.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
I mean,
like,
just desynchronized audio would make it fucking hell to play the song.
Well, I remember, and this is what sort of turned me away from the Guitar Hero games was, I think it was Guitar Hero. I don't remember which one it was, but I had always played it on just a normal, bigger TV, your regular CRT type TVs. And then when I had gotten my flat TV, it was a giant pain in the ass to try to get everything to be synced up with it.
Oh yeah.
And after a while, I just said, "Fuck it, I'm done with this game." I don't know. I mean, you said you have Rock Band 4. Is it easier to sync things now than
Yeah, it's easier to calibrate everything.
Okay.
It usually takes like maybe a few rounds to do it. It doesn't take very long though.
Okay, because I remember back then it was fucking abysmal to try to calibrate all that shit, and I just got sick of doing it. And with their the desyncing issue, they didn't really nothing. Red Octane didn't really put any kind of solution in place, but they did announce that they were aware of the issue. But at that time though too, if they did, there's not a lot they could have really done with patching, because I mean the Xbox,
not the PS2 at least.
Right, the Xbox could have gotten patched, but on the PS2, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
But like other issues, there were more. These kind of came more on the Xbox side. But they thought there was a hardware issue with the Explorer guitar where the whammy bar just wouldn't work. And I do vaguely remember that actually on mine, that the one just, you would hit it and just nothing. And then like I remember like people making like some kinds of fixes, like with like taking the guitar apart basically, and you basically rigged it up to work. But Red Octane had people, you could exchange it at either, I don't remember if it was through the store or through them, but you could exchange it for a new one. But later on, Activision actually found out that it wasn't an issue with the guitars, but there was built in, I guess, with the Xbox, there's just like the anti-cheating software built in, and that's what was causing issues with it. So it wasn't an actual hardware issue. And then Activision released a patch, but unfortunately, as with anything else releasing patches, you patch one thing, whole can of worms opens up, and from that they started like having issues with the game locking up, and failures actually with the system because of the patch. Yeah. And then lastly, I thought this was kind of interesting that people reported static shock issues that ended up causing some of the buttons, particularly the green one, to stop working. Not good.
Just the green one though, because that makes sense.
Yeah, it basically, from what I was reading,
probably where the ground was.
Other buttons would malfunction, but mainly the green one was the one that permanently malfunctioned and stopped working for you.
That's strange.
No problems with the PlayStation side.
Yeah. So I think people were just like pounding that green button a little hard. Let's just say that.
Jamming it.
They were like, "Oh well, Jake down the street said this happened to him too. It must be my fault too." And just starts like, pounding the green button.
Is that what you're calling it nowadays?
Fucking pounding
have the guitar
green
on the floor, just stepping on it to activate the green button. Yeah.
You got to get confirmation bias, so you start like, as people say they're breaking it, you have to break yours too and be like, "Oh yeah, me too."
Mine's broken. Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. Oh no, looks like it's still working. Hold on. Oh, yeah, it's broken. It's broken.
Oh, yep, it's broken. I tapped it with a fucking chisel 5 times and imagine that stopped working.
It fell down the stairs.
Guitar, show me on the doll where he touched you.
My green button.
Oh no.
Oh, how pedo bear got introduced into the podcast this evening, but
Dun, 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 dun.
I guess it was just bound to happen at some point.
But of course, at least an episode.
Yeah.
It's in your contract.
Overall,
Didn't you see?
I'm sorry.
It's in your contract. Didn't you see that?
I must have missed that line of fine print.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's okay though. I'll deal with it. But overall thoughts on the game myself, personally, Guitar Hero 2 is a lot of fun. All of them are, but as Drake said, eventually you do get the feeling that it's the same thing, just different songs in the lineups. But overall, it's always good to have something to play with friends that's easy to pick up for the most part. And just hearing the songs from years back that just feel good when you play them and actually succeed. It was overall a really good experience on my part.
I mean, I think that the game, to be honest, I think they got better. I mean, obviously they got better as they went through, but
Yeah.
with having, especially like into the world tour and going into the Rock Band ones too, it was nice having the ability for 4 people. It made it even more of a party game than what it initially was, and there's nothing like getting a bunch of drunk people together and fucking playing the crap out of games like that.
Yeah, and then getting the guy that gets way too hammered and starts getting pissed off because he can't play Mississippi Queen. Wasn't me, I swear.
Some experience?
No, not at all. But yeah, this game for me was like always a fun party game. It was always interesting though when you ran into the guys that were really good at it. And they would be playing something like whatever, I forget which one. I think it was World Tour had that Dragon Force song game.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
and it was like 5 buttons and it was like constantly moving. I was like, those are the ones that like actually liked watching that because it was like really cool to see somebody of that skill doing it. So
That's impressive. I mean, that was I think Dragon Force was. I didn't think it was that far. No, Dragon Force. Actually, I just looked it up. Guitar Hero. That was Guitar Hero 3.
I was
it
just
3?
gonna say
Okay.
3. Yeah.
All right.
3 kind of. Well, I mean, what I thought was neat. I mean, granted, this is somewhat different, but like with Guitar Hero 3, what I thought was kind of neat though was when they released their. Because that's when they had a little bit more with DLCs. That they actually released like the world sort of pack. I think, I forget what the hell they called it, but it was like you had music from. It was all international bands, which I thought that was kind of cool. As opposed to just your typical
National
classic.
delights.
Okay.
You're sick.
I am. Are we ready to choose next week's topic?
Sure.
All right.
S words.
I guess. Swords.
1 through 4.
God damn it, Trebek.
Generate random number. 2010s.
Ooh. 40.
7.
16.
Oh.
It's
16 is Dishonored.
Oh.
Honored. I was hoping for
Also-
Destiny, but Dishonored will do, I guess.
You're getting the D one way or another.
Heyo.
I see what you did there.
He's talking about dick.
I've got an idea.
You've got an idea that's never led to anything good.
But, I think that's going to do it for this week unless anybody else has anything they want to toss in.
Only a salad.
Inevitable. You tossed it right up for him. Like, that was a floater pitch in the World Series, man. Come on.
But anyways, you can find me more or less on Twitter at DC Skater Shane, and also hopefully once my work schedule balances out, and I can find time streaming over at over on Beam again under DC Skater Shane. I don't know about you ladies, but go ahead and plug yourselves.
Oh, I'll plug myself just well and good here.
Nice and deep, like.
Yes, nice and deep, like. Gotta get it up to the third knuckle. But yeah, this has been Mr. Bojangles 1984. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube's, and here on Beam, all Mr. Bojangles 1984. If you haven't already, you should check out our Beam channel if you're listening to this on, iTunes or Podbean, watching it on YouTube. Follow us on Beam. Subscribe, follow us everywhere. So that way you're up to date all the time.
You want to go plug yourself too, sir?
Yeah, sure. You can find me in St. Louis rolling on dubs. Also, YouTube and Twitch under Drake Dangerson. Usually I'm on YouTube, though.
Get those views.
Yeah.
Subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, it's got a cool otter on it.
It does. It's sexy.
Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Is junk or the otter?
Bit of both.
Oh, that's not really an otter, is it?
My junk is an otter.
It's cleverly disguised as one.
Oh God. But yeah, I mean, thanks everybody for being here. If you're live, feel free to, comment and everything like that. And if you haven't, make sure to follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up to date. Send any feedback to us too. GameCastContinuum at gmail.com. Looking for any kind of feedback, doesn't really matter, good or bad. Just trying to get an idea to make this better for everybody, listening. And just really thanks to anybody who's listening for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week for another great episode of GameCast Continuum.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.